Good morning. Welcome to your Monday, September 18th edition of Good Morning Vail. I'm Danielle Turner, the Vice President and General Manager here at TV8. And I'm so excited this morning to share some of the new initiatives we're working on here at TV8. So sit back and relax because Good Morning Vail starts right now.
Get up, get ready to start your day. The mountains are calling you out to play. Come on, we'll make you feel right at home. Good morning, Vail. See what lies in store for you. There's so many things to see and do. Summer, winter, spring, or fall. Your home in the Rockies has it all. So get up, get ready to start your day. The coffee's brewing, you're on your way. The fun is waiting outside your door. Good morning, Vail. Good morning, Vail.
Lions Head Jewelers Fossil and Mineral Gallery. Located in the heart of Lions Head Village for over a decade, our 4,000 square foot gallery boasts a one-of-a-kind experience that cannot be found anywhere else in Vail. We carry the most exquisite array of fine jewelry, high-end minerals, and museum-quality fossils. We invite you to come in and explore all the history and beauty that nature has to offer.
Hi, it's Julio from TV8 Vail. Do you ever wonder why our tagline is "There's more for you on 92"? Because we're always bringing you more. More Good Morning Vail from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. all year long. More local coverage with Vail Vibes and Covered Bridge on TV8. More opportunities to participate with new roundtable panels on mountain perspectives and our new Spanish programming block coming this fall. Find us on Comcast Xfinity Channel 92, on YouTube, or our website at tv8vail.com.
Thank you for watching Good Morning Vail. Have an amazing day. Get on out there, soak up that sunshine. We'll see you tomorrow right here for more Good Morning Vail. Bye, everyone. Hi, I'm Gretchen Bleshaw. You might recognize me from the Glitz and Glam with Gretchen. Maybe you hear my voice on the radio from time to time or see me out at a concert or two. I love concerts. If you see me out, the long mermaid hair, I'm almost 6 foot tall. It's hard to miss. Come and say hi, give me a high five, and make sure to watch me right here on TV8.
Good morning, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. So up first today, I want to share our newest segment with you. It's called Hobby Time, and it gives people an opportunity to share their skills with all of our viewers here in the Vail Valley. And so our very first Hobby Time is over with our friends at Drinking Vessels. Let's take a look.
I'm Ben Belgrad, and this is Bat Country Studios and the home of Drinking Vessels. We are a glass-blowing studio located here in Minturn, which is a marketplace and a brokerage for between 50 and 100 artists creating handmade drinkware like you've never seen before. So Stan works here at the studio and is one of the contributing artists to that platform. I am also an artist creating some of the drinkware for that platform, and I also explore other mediums of art here at the studio.
And my name is Stanton Morris. I teach a lot of the classes, so does Ben. You guys need to come on down and check it out. It's a collective group of people that come into this place that make it so special. This place isn't just like Ben built it, but it's not just necessarily say just for him or just for me. This really has become like a community area where some of the best in the world walk in here to work in the studio. It's one of the things that I feel makes it so special. I'm surrounded by amazing talent all the time. New creations, new innovations that people are coming up with. It's really fun because we're right on the cutting edge forefront of it, getting to see it all happen right here in Bat Country Studios.
When I was in college, I found some artists who blow glass, and they let me come over to their studio and showed me how to get my hands wet and melt some things and turn on a torch. And I was pretty much instantaneously hooked, and that was 13 years ago, and here I am 13 years later still doing the same thing and still exploring the medium, and it's kind of this endless journey of learning.
I think glass blowing grabbed my interest at a very young age. I was at Six Flags over Texas in Houston, and I remember seeing somebody making the swans and filling them with purple water, and it instantly grabbed my attention as a child. What started off as a hobby, I ended up going to Penland School of Arts in North Carolina and graduating there, and pursuing it as a career and loving every minute of it.
So here at Bat Country Studios, we specialize in borosilicate flame working. This is a type of glass blowing that involves taking cold pieces of glass or pre-warming them in a kiln and then melting them in a flame created by a torch, combining propane and oxygen. This is different than what most people are familiar with, or soft glass, which is like studio furnace work. Most people have seen the big metal pole that people are rolling and dipping into a furnace. And so what we do here is different than that on kind of a technical level, but it's similar in that it's still glass blowing and it still has a lot of the same tools and a lot of the same techniques.
It's one of the things that's most different about what we do is we work on a much smaller scale. And we bring that small scale together so that we create a larger scale. And what we do using multiple different pieces.
Working with glass is really unlike any other medium. It moves differently. It's both a solid and a liquid. You have this limited sense of time and urgency when you're working with the material. You also have to be very delicate and understanding of what it's going to react to and how you can move it. So there's so much going on at once, it kind of turns off the brain from other distractions and allows you to really just focus on what's immediately in front of you, at least for me. And that's something that we love to share through these classes and getting people to experience, putting their hands in the fire. If you're interested in taking a class with us here at Bat Country Studios, we are offering individual and group classes. We're still working on building that out on the website as far as signups. So email us at info@drinkingvessels.com or jump over to the website drinkingvessels.com to get in touch with us, and we'll get you on the schedule for a class.
And also remember that you guys can come as a group. Groups are a lot of fun. It gives everybody a chance to see what it's like, laugh, take some pictures. So if you're in the Vail Valley, And you're kind of always asking what to do. We don't just ski and snowboard here. We do have other activities or mountain biking, but take 2 hours out of your day. Come do something different. If you're in Vail, come take a class, walk away with an experience that you'll never forget.
And when people come by for a class, they can expect to spend about 2 hours working with Stan or myself. The beginning is going to be an orientation with these torches, with these pieces of equipment, with safety, and how to really be mindful of what's around you in a space like this. And in some of the classes, we're working on introductory projects, maybe a pendant or a marble, maybe an icicle ornament, something you can take home the next day after the piece has cooled in the kiln.
Then we're going to put the glass in your hands, and we're going to kind of like stand right on your shoulders, and we're going to show you how it works and give everybody a chance to make it. This is going to be an icicle ornament. You can hang it all summer long, or you can put it on your Christmas tree. This is a really quick, good introductory. Just going to start with a 1/2-inch piece of Pyrex rod, just a piece of clear. We're going to get that part kind of warm, and as things begin to move, I'm going to begin pushing in with my hands. And as I'm pushing in from each side, you can see how the glass starts to become pliable and bend with me. And as I push in with it, it's going to come together. And I keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. So I get what's called a Maria. And this is the start for our icicle ornament right here. I'm going to put 4 stripes of color just below the Maria that we created. All I did was put 4 stripes on it right there. And we'll give it one more little decoration piece here if you want to go around, and this is an option for when you're in the class. We'll see the red start to come back to us and color in for us. So now we got a basic icicle ornament. We're going to give it a little neck loop. It's got to have a place to hang from. Right there, we've got a pretty much an icicle ornament. And this is one of the projects that we'll create with our classes in here. And like I said, it's something that you can take home with you and you can enjoy for years to come.
One of the things about my artwork that I'm working on and attempting is to try and create things that have never been seen before and that other people are not making. And that was very, very challenging for me prior to having this space where when an idea comes into my head now, I can drive here at 2 in the morning or I'm here all day on a normal day. And we have the resources around here, not just for glassblowing, but for painting projects, for other art projects. We have photo and video work happening here from the team, and it's just this ongoing collaboration that to me is really inspirational and motivating for me to create my work.
Being a glass artist, it completely fuels my spirit. It's the creativity part of it. Like I said, once again, the freedom of it it's unbelievable. Just being able to come in and have an idea and actually manifest that idea into something that I can hold and that somebody else can enjoy, I feel like really is one of the things about glass that is it drives a lot of us to keep doing what we're doing.
So we are located at 1040 Main Street in Minturn in the Jerry Sibley Plumbing Building. We have one of the garage stalls over here. And you can see our work at drinkingvessels.com. We have all of the work available here by appointment only. So if you want to schedule a time to come browse our selection, that's also an option. If you take a class, you'll get to see everything that we have in the office from all of these artists that we've had out here. To be honest, just shoot us a message, reach out through the website, drinkingvessels.com. You can get in touch with us about scheduling an appointment or a class and come to see the studio. We don't really have a set of hours, but we're happy to accommodate most anything that works.
Good morning, Vail.
TV8 Vail is serving the community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Stop by for Good Morning Vail at 7 a.m. and stay all day for lifestyle favorites such as Good Day Vail, Daily Flash, Suki and Scott, and more. And you're sure to find the adventure you crave with back-to-back episodes of Scoreboard Nation and Outdoor America. Find us all day, every day on Comcast Xfinity Channel 92, on tv8vail.com, and on all our social media platforms. There's more for you on Channel 92.
Nap Harvest, your local marketplace for fresh, locally produced products. Our indoor farmers market is open 7 days a week, featuring locally grown organic produce, prepared meals, honey from our Nap Nectar hive, furniture, cutting boards, and much more. We source and sell locally grown and produced products from the Vail and Roaring Fork valleys. Visit us at our new location in Eagle Ranch, 717 Sylvan Lake Road, next door to Color Coffee Roasters.
Hi there, I just wanted to take a moment and introduce myself. My name is Avisha Scarborough, and I'm the host of Vail Vibes, a show about all the amazing stuff going on here in Vail and surrounding areas I'm going to tell you all about so you don't miss a thing. And I just want to say that I love being part of this community, and it's an amazing place to be.
Do you love the outdoor lifestyle? Make sure you tune in every day at 8 p.m. to catch Scoreboard Nation. It's an outdoor lifestyle show dedicated to your 3 favorite mountain towns, Vail Beaver Creek, Park City, and Reno Tahoe. Join us for an incredible venture. Find us on TV8 Vail, Park City Television, or at thescoreboardnation.com. We can't wait to see you there.
At Revival Boutique Med Spa, we take an integrative and holistic approach to skincare, focusing on the bigger picture when treating our clients. We use only result-driven and science-based products that contain clean, organic, wildcrafted, and research-based ingredients. From injectables, facials, to body contouring, we offer anything related to looking your best self. Find us in the Riverwalk in Edwards. For a complete list of services, visit us online at revivalvail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Revival Vail Valley. Fall in love with your skin again. There's lots to love at Revival. Mind, body, beauty.
Good morning, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. I'm Danielle Turner, the Vice President and General Manager here at TV8. I'm so excited to be here with you this morning to share some of our new initiatives. So up next, we're going to see a brand new episode of Mountain Perspectives. Now, if you haven't seen Mountain Perspectives before, it's a community conversation with a group of esteemed panelists from here in the community, where we take a deep dive into important topics to the Vail Valley. Today's topic is housing, and our moderator is Chris Romer. Let's dive into it.
Welcome to Mountain Perspectives. I'm Chris Romer, President and CEO of Vail Valley Partnership. Honored to be joined today by Tracy Walters from Polar Star Properties, Kim Bell Williams from the Valley Home Store, and George Ruther from the town of Vail. And we are going to be talking about housing, workforce housing and attainable housing, and housing here in the Eagle River Valley and in Eagle County. Really excited to talk to these three about all the different things that are going on. And let's jump right in. I introduced you guys a little bit, but Tracy, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what Polar Star Properties does?
Sure. I'm the general manager and part owner of Polar Star Properties, and we property manage 5 different properties accounting for approximately 700 apartment units throughout the valley, all of them maintained as affordable or workforce housing. And we are also, our origin story is that we were actually part of the development team that developed most or all of those properties going back 20 to close to 30 years for the first.
It's great. Thanks, Tracy. And Kim, how about you? What is the Valley Home Store, and what is it that you do there?
Sure. We are the Valley Home Store, valleyhomestore.org. I'm just going to throw a pitch out for that website. We manage the Eagle County deed restricted properties, and we also have our own properties owned by the Eagle County Housing and Development Authority, Riverview, Golden Eagle, Seniors on Broadway, CMC buildings that are coming online this month and in a couple months from now. And we also have, we provide free homebuyer education through the Valley Home Store, and we work with a lot of our buyers and sellers as well as renters through our Bold Housing Moves program. So a lot going on there.
Yeah, there is a lot, and it's there's lots of moving parts there. So it's good. Thank you for sharing. And George, how about you?
Great. Yeah, George Ruther with the town of Vail. Thanks for having us today. This is going to be a great conversation. Looking forward to it. With the town of Vail, housing director in the town of Vail. The town of Vail's been involved in the housing program since inception. Ironically, I like to share with some folks that when the town adopted its first master plan back in 1973, identified the need and importance of seasonal housing as being the most critical issue to be successful long term for the town of Vail. And here we are 60 plus years later, still working through housing challenges. But with the town of Vail, in our housing department, we oversee about 1,050 deed-restricted homes, both within the town of Vail and other places now scattered throughout the county. We do housing developments, programs, and initiatives. Most recently, just got folks moved into our residence at Mainvale, a new development right there at the Mainvale roundabout, 72 brand new for-rent apartments in the community, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that here as we go forward. But we also, in the department, oversee our Vail Indeed program. Vail Indeed's been a very successful program for the town of Vail, provided housing for about 180 residents that otherwise would not have been, deed restrictions for about 380 folks living in those homes within the community. But again, excited to be here today. Thank you.
And thank all of you guys for taking the time. And we are going to dive into all the things that each of you talked about in your introduction. But let's take a step back before we take a step forward. And let's talk about, quote, workforce housing, quote, affordable housing, quote, attainable housing, community housing. There's lots of terms that get thrown about as kind of a catch-all. But what does this mean to you? And how do you, within your organization, view this idea of attainable, affordable workforce housing? Tracy, we'll start with you and we'll work through again. But let's take a step back. And what does it really mean?
Well, I think for us, there's clearly a subjective and an objective and response to that. The numerical answer is that typically the properties that we maintain are all tied to AMI in terms of their rents somehow. So the affordable median or the area median income, which is a range of between 80% and 120% of the area median income is where our rents are pegged, with some exceptions for several units on the lower end of that spectrum and then a few units on the upper end of that spectrum. So just in terms of the rents that are set that are determined to be attainable or affordable for residents, that's sort of the numerical value that we peg to. But in terms of workforce housing as a more, from a more objective response, I think that, or subjective response, I think that, what we strive for is to provide affordable units that are comfortable, clean, safe, that people can live in for an extended period of time. So not necessarily something that is entirely transitional. And we have people that have actually raised families that have lived in some of our apartment units for 15, 18, 20 years. We have residents that have had children and their children have gone off to college and are coming back. And so we have actually second generation individuals that are looking for housing in our properties in the same places that they grew up. So I think to answer your question, it's housing that people can actually live in. They can get in, they can live in for an extended period of time, and then they can move on to that next thing in their life, more or less at their choosing.
Yeah, no, it's a great answer, and you've shared that Polar Star Properties has been involved in this from a development standpoint and a management standpoint for almost 30 years. So it's great to see and share those examples. So thank you. Kim, how about you? What is that catch-all phrase of affordable housing, workforce housing? What's it mean?
Well, first of all, you have a lot of housing nerds up here, and housing comes with a lot of acronyms, so we'll try to not use those words. But the one I am going to start with is the federal definition of what you should spend on your housing that comes from HUD, which is the federal organization, says that no more than 30% of your income should be spent for housing. However, we know that doesn't really happen in this valley, but that is like the federal mark for where you start, working within the affordable housing world is right there. And so as Tracy mentioned, AMI, area median income, thank you for talking about that, so I didn't have to. A lot of the federal programs keep area median income to 80% or below is an actual rental rate for those who are in affordable housing. So that was the quick lesson around housing acronyms and terminology, but really for us, we know that that's not attainable here in the Valley, and we know that our housing authority really focuses on rental rates that are at 100% of area median income and below, and then also for sale product at 140% or below. So we're kind of in that range for the work that we do. It doesn't always work out perfectly, but we also, as I'll get to talk about later, focus on a spectrum of housing needs. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yep, and we will be able to talk about that. It's funny, you said housing nerds, yes. And that's a loose term because you might just be a nerd. So George, if you would, share your definition of what workforce housing and affordable housing might mean.
Absolutely, thank you. I think Tracy and Kim did a very good job of kind of describing the technical side of things. I think, in Vail, and one of the things we've seen when it comes to whether it's workforce housing, attainable housing, employee housing, locals housing, call it what you will. The reality is it's housing for locals and folks living here locally within the Valley on a seasonal and year-round basis. And for us, much of our approach to obtaining that affordability or that attainability around the workforce housing is through deed restrictions in the acquiring of the deed restrictions on properties. But I also think, and Kim mentioned, AMIs and HUD's requirements or definitions around affordability and 30% of the household income spent on living expenses. For us, I think there's a resort relevancy that comes into play here. I mean, we're a different place than other places across the state or across the country, and bringing that resort relevancy to this housing conversation is going to be important when we talk about affordability and attainability. The workforce piece, for us in Vail, it kind of falls under this umbrella. For years, we struggled with all those acronyms: employee housing, affordable housing, et cetera. And for us, I think, as soon as we started calling it employee housing, we ran into a challenge. And the challenge was, well, if it's employee housing, then it's the employer's obligation to provide that housing, when really I think it's the community's, need to help provide with some of that housing. So we've changed that kind of nomenclature within the Vail community, I think, to some degree of success, and we just talk about resident occupied locals housing within the community.
Yeah, I think that it's a great definition because it's not only a service sector problem, it's not only a public education teacher retention problem or nurses or first responders. It runs the gamut, right? Of everything. So the income ranges that Tracy and Kim talked about, and the resident occupied option that you talked about at various different levels, I think it's all important when we talk about this topic, because it really does encompass everything that each of you guys talked about. So let's talk about the market in a little more detail. And Kim, we'll start with you. When we talk about housing needs, and people generally recognize, I think there was a survey done by the county, 95% of people recognize that housing is our number one community challenge. It's hard to get 95% of people to recognize that we live in Eagle County, right? Or that the sky is blue and snow is good in the winter months. 95% recognition is about as high as you could possibly get. But let's talk about the needs on a little more granular level. How many units do we need? What type of units do we need? What location do they need to be in? Rental, ownership, that's a lot that I packed into that.
I've got answers for you, Chris.
You've got answers for me. Let's see what you have to say.
Okay, do you have a magic wand too?
I do.
Okay, good.
Actually, you'd be surprised. A lot of people think I might.
Okay, well, you know what? Give me that magic wand, and I would magically create 3,000 rental units and about the same number of units of for sale. The challenge or question is affordability on what those rental units might be. We heard when we did our last housing needs assessment that people said there were a handful of things that are important to them. Some of them you can guess, like they want to have pets in their rentals, right? Most people in this town have a pet. They also want to be close to job centers, so close to their work, have a short commute. They want to be close to the central areas of town where they can be engaged in the community. And so that was like on the rental side. On the home ownership side, it's a little more challenging, but really the biggest wish, if they could have wishes to buy a home, is affordability. It's also being close to jobs again, and then just a little bit more storage. So we all have toys, right? I know my garage is filled with toys. I've seen your garage.
Filled with toys.
Filled with toys. So those are kind of like the wish list out there when we talk to the public in our last housing needs assessment process.
Yeah. So about 6,000 units, about split between rental and ownership opportunities, and really throughout the valley, with maybe a little more Edwards East for the rental and a little more flexibility on the ownership side.
Yes.
So great, thanks, Kim. George, how about you? Within the town of Vail, what are the types of units? How many units do we need? That mix between rental and ownership.
Sure. I think if we could just summarize with the more the merrier would be a great start.
Yes, and
yes, and how many? Kim does a good job of kind of describing the regional need, and we're very similar in Vail. In 2017, through the adoption of our Vail Housing Strategic Plan, we identified at the time a need for 1,000 additional deed-restricted homes just within the Vail community alone, and that was really in an effort to keep up or catch up with where our existing deficit was at. So much of the development that we're doing now in Vail around new housing product that we're bringing to the market is really beginning to focus on, I think we've done a great job of addressing the for rent need within the community. There's always going to be need. But our Chamonix development that we did in 2018-19 was a good example of there is a missing middle segment of our Vail community where that housing product doesn't exist. And when it comes time for somebody to transition to maybe that place in their life, they're having to pull up stakes and maybe leave Vail and move down Valley, or worse yet, pull up stakes and leave Eagle County altogether, which is the worst case scenario. So we're looking at a number of opportunities for sale and for rent within the community. We just we're in the final stages of acquiring a piece of land out in East Vail. A smaller 1 acre portion of the land out in Eastville, where we're hoping to build another Chamonix style of development, a for sale product. Some would question affordability, of those homes, but it's always a challenge to build in this market. But for sale is something I think that the town council is continuing to look at and provide those opportunities.
It's great, and we'll dive into some of the future opportunities and things. Tracy, I'm curious your feedback on this from a private sector standpoint. We heard from Eagle County and the town of Vail. From a private sector standpoint, what do you see in terms of market need and what type of units or locations?
Well, I think that the need, separate from the specific locations, but the need to, especially to George's point, that next place to go. So I had mentioned earlier that we have people that have been living in our properties for 15, 18, 20 years. Well, I recognize that a lot of that isn't necessarily by choice. This isn't necessarily their ideal panacea of accommodation for this valley, but they don't have a place to go. And I know from speaking to several of them that if they had that, they would. And part of the problem that is created because of that lack of availability of other inventory is you have these people who reside at our properties for extended periods, and then that becomes a block. So new people transitioning into the valley don't have a place because we don't have the turnover in our units that other more normalized markets might have. So where some of those markets might have 18 to 20% turnover in a year, ours is more like 5. And it's typically people, unfortunately, that are leaving the valley. It's very rarely people that are leaving our property to move to another property. And that's really unfortunate. So I think not having that inventory, that product that is that next step for people to move to, I think that, that's what I see as really the largest opportunity.
Yeah, and Tracy, you talked about the churn. On average, 20%, you're closer to 5%, so fewer turnover. What's your average occupancy at the properties that you manage with Polar Star Properties?
98.5%.
98.5%.
Yeah, and
Which
it would
essentially
be higher, except that people live in those units for so long that by the time that they move on, the time it takes to turn those units, because somebody's been living there for 3, 5, 7 years, it's a much deeper process to turn those units over for the next occupant. So it really presents operational challenges on one hand, but we don't have to go out and market and try and fill those units. The people are just waiting for them. All we can do is try and turn the units fast enough to get that next person in so that they could start work on the first day of their job. And that's really seems to be our challenge recently, is just getting people landed, especially people like teachers who have a hard start date, resort related positions that have a hard start date. I need to be in the valley by this date, and trying to make those accommodations available to meet their needs.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that data. I think it's pretty enlightening. On top of the need, the lack of turnover, et cetera. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You're watching Mountain Perspectives as we talk about housing in Eagle County.
Good morning, Vail.
Did you know that all Eagle County residents and visitors can get a free Eagle Valley Library District card? All you need is a photo ID. You get our online databases and resources, free music, free streaming, all from wherever you have internet access. Free audiobooks and e-audiobooks straight to your phone. Go into your Eagle Valley Library District branch today and get your library card.
Familia, estamos muy emocionados de por fin presentarles nuestro nuevo programa completamente en español, Conexión Latina, que se estrena este lunes 21 de agosto a partir de las 7 de la tarde. Por el momento, el programa se transmitirá los lunes, miércoles y viernes de 7 a 7 y media de la tarde, con una repetición de 7 y media a 8, así que no hay excusas para perdértelo. Te recuerdo que puedes sintonizar nuestra programación a través del canal 92 de Comcast, nuestra página web tva.com y nuestra página de Facebook TVA Conexión Latina. Acompáñanos en esta nueva aventura llena de información y entretenimiento local. No te lo pierdas.
Well, Archer and I are going to get headed on further down the trail, but I hope you'll catch up with us a little bit later. Hi. I'm Ben Roof, and I'm one of the new hosts here at TV8. I'm so excited to share all of my explorations throughout the Vail Valley with my dog Archer, where we'll be taking you to hiking trails, biking trails, maybe we'll go rafting, fishing, or whatever else we can come up with. I'm so excited to share all of that with you in my new segment, Outdoor Adventures. Don't forget to catch up with us every day right here at TV8 Vail or at tv8vail.com, because there's always more for you on 92.
Do you have an interesting hobby or skill you'd like to share for Vail Valley? We want to hear from you. We're looking for people to share their musical, artistic, culinary, woodworking, athletic, or technical talents on Good Morning Vail. If you'd like to share your talents with the community, email Danielle at tva8vail.com. Join the community conversation. There's more for you on 92.
Experience the beauty of fall on the rails of the Leadville Railroad. Take in the cool mountain breeze as you climb to 11,000 feet to watch the vibrant reds, oranges, and golds of fall come alive. Enjoy delicious hot beverages, learn some history, and relax with family and friends. Even your pets can enjoy a ride on the train. Offering daily trips, the weekend specials sell out fast. To secure your seat, book today at leadvillerailroad.com.
Good morning, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. I'm Danielle Turner, the Vice President and General Manager here at TV8. If you're just joining us, we're taking a look at some of our newest initiatives this morning on TV8. And we are in the midst of an episode of Mountain Perspectives. Today's topic is on housing. Let's get back into it.
Welcome back to Mountain Perspectives. I'm Chris Romer, President and CEO of Vail Valley Partnership, joined by Tracy Walters from Polar Star Properties, Kim Bell-Williams from the Valley Home Store, and George Ruther from the town of Vail. And we are talking about housing here in the Eagle River Valley and housing in Eagle County. We had a really good conversation in the first segment around the need and the definitions and what it really means for attainable, affordable locals housing, community housing, et cetera. Let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts now. Let's jump into how we pay for this type of housing. And George, we'll start with you this time. What's the role that government plays in addressing this housing need?
Sure. You know, that's been a conversation of debate for a long time, you know, within the Vail community. And I think in many ways we've turned that corner, and there is a recognition within the Vail community proper that there is a role for the municipal government to play, especially in a community like Vail that relies almost 90% on sales tax collections to fund its government coffers. So ensuring that we have safe and adequate and appropriate places for our workforce to live is going to be most important in Vail. I think it was further substantiated back in November of 2021, I believe, when the town of Vail put a ballot initiative out to the voters in Vail about taxing themselves with a 0.5% sales tax increase to be dedicated towards housing initiatives, programs, and developments within Vail, and it passed. You know, that was the first sales tax increase in 47 years, I believe, within the Vail community. So I think it puts an importance upon it. Additionally, you know, a lot of conversation within the Vail community in recognition. You know, I think so much of this has been kind of an evolution towards a recognition of the importance of housing. Is this notion that in the Vail community, housing is infrastructure. It's no different than roads, bridges, streets, utilities, schools, healthcare, et cetera. You know, without it, we're not a successful community. And so some of the rhetoric we often heard early on in you know, decades ago about, you know, it's not the role of government to be involved in housing. I pulled myself up by my own bootstraps. I think there has been a fundamental change in thinking within the population of not only Vail, but Eagle County as a whole around the importance of this housing, in that our success is going to come when we provide adequate housing for a significant portion of our population.
Yeah, it's really essential to community. Not just the guest experience, which it's certainly aligned with, but the community as a whole. To have a vibrant, vital community, you need people living within that community. And the town of Vail, through the sales tax and through some of the other programs and the housing developments that you've talked about, Vail's taken a leadership role in many ways. Kim, let's hear from you, because Eagle County has also done quite a bit has taken a leadership role, has some things coming out of the ground, has some plans for future things to come out of the ground. So how does Eagle County do this, and how does the Valley Home Store view the idea of what the right role of government is when it comes to housing?
Sure, great question. Gosh, I could talk all day about that, but thank you, George. A lot of your points were points I would have made as well. I think really it's critical to understand that, the Valley Home Store is owned by the Eagle County Housing and Development Authority, and we provide the basis of our services we give to the community through being a realtor. We make a 2% transfer, 2% real estate commission on every deed restricted house we sell. Also, we provide property management services, and we pay for our team through that work. So the work we do get paid for some of it. But in order to invest in locals' housing, it really has to be this, the paycheck is bigger, right? You have to have a lot more money to build housing here. And so what we did a couple years ago is we put a deed restriction on our biggest asset, which was Lake Creek Village Apartments, and through the sale of that asset, I timed it perfectly. I mean, really.
It was all you.
It was all me, none of the market. But we were able to put over $50 million into our account, and we're using those dollars to actively roll out our new programs, to build new housing, and to really look at what we can do to protect and preserve our existing affordable housing in Eagle County.
Yeah, no, it's great. And there's some success stories. We're going to talk about some success stories coming up here. A little bit of a spoiler alert for everybody. We will be talking about some specific projects and things. Tracy, from your perspective, what role does the private sector have in community housing, locals housing, workforce housing? How does the private sector work on this and build units that are attainable to locals?
Well, I think that we all recognize that nothing meaningful happens in terms of making an impact on this issue without participation of both government and the private sector.
Sure.
And certainly the properties that we have developed and is what I would consider a model for future development as well, is having that close partnership with government, both at the federal and state level, but the importance of having those local government partners. Eagle County participated with our developer in developing Spring Creek Village, and having that local partner was incredibly important because it helps us to make changes on the fly with somebody locally who understands, to George's point, the resort relevancy. We had an issue with AMIs being a little bit too low and actually putting people out of the qualification for our units that are tied to AMI. So the thing that the private sector can bring is partners. They can bring financing and capital. What the local and state, federal governments can bring is ease in the process of getting developments done, partnerships in terms of providing some level of funding and financing, access to land, those types of things that a developer, if left to themselves, would struggle to try and make a project pencil.
Yeah. In order to make it pencil, it would almost need to be unattainable to the local workforce.
Exactly.
Without the government engagement and involvement and partnership.
That's exactly right. And there's a very broad spectrum of opportunities for the private sector to partner with governments. And I think that the properties that we've managed, that we're involved with, take advantage of really sort of a broad spectrum. 5 properties, all 5 of them, separate types of partnerships with local, state, federal government entities.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's really enlightening from all 3 of you guys. So thanks for that background and information. So I want to hear from each of you, and Tracy, we'll start with you on this one. Share a success story. Let's get in the weeds a little bit here. Let's share a specific example and a case study around locals housing, if you would, how it worked, some of the obstacles that maybe were overcome, and if it would have the opportunity to be duplicated into the future. So I packed a lot into that. Share a success story.
So I would talk about Eagle Bend Apartments. So Eagle Bend Apartments is a large apartment property that's right in the middle of Avon, very close to transit. Very attractive place for somebody to live that works in the valley. It was developed, to George's point about housing being infrastructure. It was actually developed using a mechanism, without getting into too much into the weeds. It's IRS Section 6320 that effectively allows for private investment in public infrastructure. So it's a novel type of financing that is typically used for financing infrastructure like roads, bridges, parking structures, those types of things. And many years ago, the developer of that property took advantage of an opportunity to effectively obtain that financing, which allows them then to issue debt that is at the same rate as a local government might issue. So you have that tax exempt debt, you have a tax exemption because the property becomes owned by a not-for-profit corporation. In our case, those are controlled by a local board of 5 people, each of the 3 properties that we built under this type of mechanism. That property is operating at a surplus with rents kept down to about that 80% AMI. We operate at a surplus, generate a significant amount of free cash throughout the year. And last year, the board, when they were deciding what to set the rents at for the next year, we set them at a rate that was still slightly below that 80% AMI, but would generate up to $250,000 to $300,000 of cash flow that they have specifically dedicated to help fund other housing programs. So we're tied to the town of Avon in that property. And so we will be generating that cash, contributing to the town of Avon for things like their Mi Casa program, their deed restrictions. They're also in the process of looking at developing their own public housing type properties. So I would say that having that type of property, having the ability and the flexibility under the ownership structure to make decisions on the fly that actually allow you to contribute from one entity to another entity to help fund future projects, I would consider that a huge success.
Yeah, it's a great success story, and thank you for sharing that. Kim, how about you? What's a success story? Yeah, it's your turn next.
Do I have to just pick one? Because I have a whole bunch.
We're going to talk about a whole bunch
Okay,
later.
well then
For this example, I want one success and obstacles, and if it might be able to be duplicated.
Great. Well, I'm going to talk about our partnership with Colorado Mountain College. It was a couple years ago, and I know you're on the CMC board. They recognized that they needed to provide housing, and so they designed a 36-unit building, and then they put it at a variety of campuses around the state, one being CMC Edwards. It was fabulous when they knocked on our door and said, "Hey, Housing Authority, would you like to build a second building?" And of course, we said yes. We wrote the check from the proceeds of the Lake Creek sale, and we have a brand new, beautiful building in Edwards near the dog park. Spend a lot of time there. That's opening in November. Also, just with that partnership, we are looking at partnering with CMC to build a third building. So really, people who, organizations who own land, who are thinking differently about housing their students, their faculty, their staff, and then giving us the opportunity to step in. And then in the future, the model will be that CMC will purchase those buildings back from the Housing Authority, and then we'll have the funds to build more buildings. So I think that's a good example, very simplified.
Yes.
But a good example of a public-public partnership that really said, we can do this, let's do this now. It was one of our fastest projects. It'll be, I think, like 14 months from conception to people moving in, and that doesn't really happen very often. Usually it takes a lot more time.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites, too.
I know, exactly.
It's a really good example, and more good to come, I expect, on that parcel and those examples. So you'll have time to share other examples moving forward. George, how about you? You mentioned a few different properties that Vail has been involved with. And people now moving into the residences at Mainvale. But share a success story, if you would, how it worked, if it might be able to be duplicated.
Sure. I have to, if we're going to talk about success stories, I have to talk about Vail Indeed. Vail Indeed, the whole idea, and while Vail Indeed has yielded tremendous results for the Vail community in the form of 180 deed restricted properties that we otherwise would not have if this program didn't exist, in homes for over 380 people now, in a community that is otherwise bound and constrained by land resources, and capitalizing on the housing units we already have. I like to share, in Vail, we don't have a housing problem, we have an occupancy problem. We only have 5,300 people, yet I have 7,200 homes. We have more homes than we have people. So, Vail indeed was a way of kind of navigating through all of those issues that got us to protecting and preserving some of the homes that we already have in the community. The obstacle, I think the obstacle to that program when we first brought it up, I'll never forget sitting down with then town manager Stan Zemler, and he was like, after a couple of appeals to get this onto the town council's agenda and present it, his comment was, I'm going to sell tickets to watch you go down in flames, and because who is going to really ever want to do some of the things you're suggesting? But after that presentation to the town council that night, like all good town council members do, George, go out, find other communities across the country that are already doing this, and then report back to us in 2 weeks, and we'll see where it goes. And I always share, very respectfully, my response is, I'm not going to do that, because what I'm asking you to do is fundamentally different and fundamentally something no one else is doing across the country. And if we are going to solve this housing problem, something like Vail indeed is what we need. We need to think very differently about the problem. We need to take different approaches and then take some risk. And at the end of all that, like I said, 180 properties that otherwise would not have been deed restricted within our community are now deed restricted, and 380 plus people have homes. The success of the Vail and Deed program, I've had the good fortune of traveling from as far east as Nantucket and Cape Cod to the communities around Lake Tahoe, who are now implementing a very similar program. And I think Vail and Deed has now been adopted in various forms in 26 or 28 communities across the country. So it's been a great success, for us. Is it the silver bullet? Absolutely not, but it definitely has changed the game for the folks living in Vail.
Yeah, it's part of that yes and approach that we talked about before. In Avon's program that Tracy mentioned, the Mikasa is modeled after Vail and Deed, and others as well. So it's a really good example. We're going to use this opportunity to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with Mountain Perspectives.
Good morning, Vail.
Nap Harvest, your local marketplace for fresh, locally produced products. Our indoor farmers market is open 7 days a week, featuring locally grown organic produce, prepared meals, honey from our Nap Nectar hive, furniture, cutting boards, and much more. We source and sell locally grown and produced products from the Vail and Roaring Fork Valleys. Visit us at our new location in Eagle Ranch, 717 Sylvan Lake Road, next door to Color Coffee Roasters.
Do you have an interesting hobby or skill you'd like to share for Vail Valley? We want to hear from you. We're looking for people to share their musical, artistic, culinary, woodworking, athletic, or technical talents on Good Morning Vail. If you'd like to share your talents with the community, email Danielle at tva.vail.com. Join the community conversation. There's more for you on 92.
Experience the beauty of fall on the rails of the Leadville Railroad. Take in the cool mountain breeze as you climb to 11,000 feet to watch the vibrant reds, oranges, and golds of fall come alive. Enjoy delicious hot beverages, learn some history, and relax with family and friends. Even your pets can enjoy a ride on the train. Offering daily trips, the weekend specials sell out fast. To secure your seat, book today at leadvillerailroad.com.
Join us in exploring the everyday lives of community members here in the Vail Valley. Hear their inspiring stories of how they came here, their contributions to our community, and why they chose to call this place home. We want you to be one of our neighbors. If you would like to be featured or nominate someone to be featured, please send an email to danielle@tv8vail.com. We look forward to featuring your story right here on TV8.
You're watching K34QB.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday, September 18th edition of Good Morning Vail. I'm Danielle Turner, the Vice President and General Manager here at TV8. We're in the 8 o'clock hour. We've had such an exciting show so far. I'm enjoying sharing with you some of our newest initiatives here at TV8. And so here in the second hour, we're going to see the finale of the Mountain Perspectives episode that we've been talking about on housing, as well as a brand new Vail Vibes episode. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, because Good Morning Vail starts right now.
Get up, get ready to start your day. The mountains are calling you out to play. Come on, we'll make you feel right at home. Good morning, Vail. See what lies in store for you. There's so many things to see and do. Summer, winter, spring, or fall. Your home in the Rockies has it all. So get up, get ready to start your day. The coffee's brewing, you're on your way. The fun is waiting outside your door. Good morning, Vail. Good morning, Vail.
Did you know that all Eagle County residents and visitors can get a free Eagle Valley Library District card? All you need is a photo ID. You get our online databases and resources, free music, free streaming, all from wherever you have internet access. Free audiobooks and e-audiobooks straight to your phone. Go into your Eagle Valley Library District branch today and get your library card.
TV8 is serving the community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, delivering content in all sorts of mediums. Take us with you on the go, as Good Morning Vail and Good Day Vail are now available as podcasts. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, and Pandora. And don't forget, you can always find TV8 on YouTube, tv8vail.com, and all of our social media platforms. Just another reason why there's more for you on 92.
At Revival Boutique Med Spa, we take an integrative and holistic approach to skincare, focusing on the bigger picture when treating our clients. We use only result-driven and science-based products that contain clean, organic, wildcrafted, and research-based ingredients. From injectables, facials, to body contouring, we offer anything related to looking your best self. Find us in the Riverwalk in Edwards. For a complete list of services, visit us online at revivalvail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Revival Vail Valley. Fall in love with your skin again. There's lots to love at Revival. Mind, body, beauty.
When you're in Vail, you're in vacation mode, and you need a flexible home tour experience that fits into your schedule. We've transformed how you view and buy homes in the Vail Valley. With immersive, cutting-edge technology, you can explore properties 10 times faster. In our lounge, we guide you through this digital world on a 16-foot screen where you can imagine your next home in comparison to your favorite recreational spots. Say goodbye to multi-day home tours and hello to a quick stop between your other plans. That's the power of the immersion theater.
Good morning, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. I'm Danielle Turner, the Vice President and General Manager here at TV8. And it's my pleasure to spend this morning with you and share some of our newest initiatives here at TV8. So up next, we're going to see the finale of the Mountain Perspectives episode we've been enjoying so far on housing.
Welcome back to Mountain Perspectives. I'm Chris Romer with Vail Valley Partnership, joined by Tracy Walters from Polar Star Properties, Kim Bell Williams from the Valley Home Store, and George Ruther from the town of Vail. And we are talking all things housing in the Eagle River Valley and across Eagle County. Lots of great discussion, guys, in our first two segments. We're going to wrap it up with something that Kim has been chomping at the bit to talk about, which is all the different success stories and things that are going on. You've alluded to it at least one or two times. So I want to give you the opportunity to take the floor here and share what is happening. What are some of the other things that you haven't talked about yet happening at Eagle County and the Valley Home Store?
Yeah, so many things. So we were fortunate enough, I think it was towards the end of the pandemic, but I feel like right now it was in the middle. It was in July of 2021. The board said housing is our biggest problem we hear about no matter what we're talking about. Can you provide us with some solutions? And so as a team, we sat down and we started looking at the full spectrum of housing, really, what we're seeing every day, what we hear about from our friends, but really just where are the places where we haven't been serving our community. And so we came up with 9 new programs called the Bold Housing Moves, and our website for that is boldhousingmoves.com. And inside those new programs, we serve our renters, the renters who are looking for year-round rentals here in Eagle County. We are serving our home buyers, which is something we've done consistently at the Valley Home Store over the years, expanding those programs and offering more services, and then really looking at opportunities to provide more home rental opportunities for homeowners. And so within those programs, the first set for renters, we received a federal grant for homeless services, and that's new for our community. We all kind of do a little bit of homeless services with all the nonprofits that serve our community. The police stations, the ambulance district, the hospital, everyone has their fingers in it, but we've been really working to provide consolidate those services and provide a bigger depth of opportunities for people who are experiencing homelessness. So that's new for us as a housing authority. Usually it's not a housing authority. But since we started the work in March of 2022, we have served over 130 people. So even though it's not something we see and it's not as glamorous talking about homelessness, it is happening. And we know that we're starting to collect the data and really start to serve those folks. So that's my first soapbox. My second one is just really helping with rental assistance. And so we have a rental assistance program called Rental Funds, where we will provide your landlord with first and last month's rent. You pay your own security deposit, and then we turn around and you pay back the last month's rent over 11 months. Rental rates are super high right now. I don't know if you've looked recently, because I think we're all homeowners here in this panel, but 2 bedrooms are going for $3,000 a month. Yes, thank you, behind the camera, shaking your head. So if you had to come up with first, last, and security, that's quite a bit of money. And this program just helps you to get into that brand new year-round rental. And so that program has been very successful in helping people get into rentals. Moving to the home buyer, not only do we have our longstanding Eagle County Loan Fund down payment assistance program that can provide up to 5% of your purchase on an $850,000 purchase price, but we also have a program similar to Vail and Deed called Eagle County Good Deeds, where we will, if you purchase an open market property, we will buy a deed restriction, either contributing 15% for price cap deed restriction or 5% for resident occupied deed restriction. And so we've had a lot of people come to us and say, let's do good deeds at 15% and down payment assistance at 5%, and there's your 20% on a purchase up to $850,000. The other program that we're using to support is called Locals First, where the housing authority can be a cash buyer. We would buy the house for you, deed restrict it, and resell it. And that was really kind of well used when people were coming up against, multiple offers and a lot of cash buyers. And so now that has kind of tapered off a little bit in the marketplace. And so now we're getting a lot of calls directly from people who want to sell us their property. They want it to be kept in the local pool, sell it directly to the housing authority, and we will deed restrict it and then resell it to our buyer list. This is the bad news. Our buyer wait list at Miller Ranch and for all our deed restricted properties has grown to about 1,200 people. So we know we have a lot of home buyers, a lot of built up demand there. And that's why we're appealing to the public to sell us your house so that we can sell it to a local. The last set of programs for home buyers, and then I'll pass it over because I'm talking a lot, but thank you to George and Tracy and Chris for giving me a chance to promote all these programs, is for homeowners. So if you're an existing homeowner and you can add an accessory dwelling unit to your property, some neighborhoods can, some cannot, but if you can, we will provide you a loan up to $100,000 for you to build an accessory dwelling unit, an ADU, and then to rent it out to a local. That loan is interest-free for 3 years and then 2% interest after that. So we have seen a lot of people take advantage of adding that asset to their house, using our funds, paying it back into the fund, and that fund will revolve over time. And then our last program is an incentive program to get vacant and short-term rentals from the back into the long-term rental market. So we know we have a lot of units, as George mentioned earlier, but a lot of them are vacant or short-term rented. If you own one of those and you're interested in putting it back into the year-round rental pool, we have a cash incentive for you to do that. And that program is through Placemate. It's called Lease to Locals. So those are all of our new Bold Housing moves. You can get more information at boldhousingmoves.com.
Whew. That's a lot.
A little tired.
And there's a lot of, it's very impressive for the county to take that leadership role and have a lot of these innovative programming. So kudos to the commissioners and the team and the staff. And then you come up with names like rental assistance. So I appreciate that you're putting the effort into the programming and not the branding.
Well, we're doing a little bit of branding, but yes,
it's good.
It is. No, it says what it does. Yes.
I tease. It's very good. Tracy, how about you? From Polar Star Properties perspective, from a private sector standpoint, what are some of the opportunities? What are some of the plans that you guys might have that you might be able to share?
Well, from the property management side, I think that the opportunity for us is to sort of grow our portfolio over time, especially as it relates to locals and workforce housing properties, so that we can assist more people in moving, sort of transitioning from property one to property two, from a one bedroom, then you're married and now you've got a child and you need to get into a 2-bedroom, or in the future into a 3-bedroom. The more access we have to those units within our specific portfolio, the more we can do that. That's definitely something that we do today, but we're kind of capped by the total number of units that we have. Another thing that we've been involved in quite a bit recently is, I mentioned the town of Avon and some of their housing initiatives, but having conversations with them and their staff and talking about what it means to finance housing as infrastructure, the 6320 concept. They're an important local partner, and we have a great depth of knowledge in our experience in developing a lot of these properties in the past. So I think that kind of helping people helping projects to find that kind of novel structure, I think, is a big opportunity for us as well. But beyond that, the one of the things I really appreciate, that we house in our apartments, we house about 2,400 people. That's a big portion of the community, and we partner a lot with local nonprofits, various agencies, the Bright Future Foundation, to help to find housing for people that need it in the most desperate of times or the most urgent of circumstances. But we also partner with some of the nonprofits, the Community Market and others, to make sure that people have access to other things that they need besides just the housing portion. So I think that we have our hands in several of those types of programs and partnerships, and I think that expanding those in the future is probably something that we can take full advantage of.
Yeah, there's lots of great groups doing a lot of important work, and it does take that partnership with across industry sectors. So thank you for spotlighting a few of those. George, how about you? With the town of Vail, what are some of the current plans and things that you might want to share?
Sure. A number of things are in the pipeline and coming out into the community. Timber Ridge. Timber Ridge is a piece of property the town of Vail bought in the early 2000s with the specific purpose of redeveloping that property and increasing the supply of deed-restricted homes on that site. We did a first half of a redevelopment a number of years back. We're now almost to the finish line with our Planning and Environmental Commission on getting the entitlements for a new 296 home development, on that site. What kind of excites me about Timber Ridge, other than replacing a building that has clearly outlived its life cycle with new homes and increasing the supply, is also the approach that we've taken to finance this. To finance the project, building almost 300 homes in Vail, you can imagine, is a pretty costly endeavor. But we had the good fortune of turning to our business community to help us fund and finance the development of those homes. And 165 of those homes will be sold to business owners, employers within the Vail community, and then in turn they will rent those homes back to their employees and to their workforce. What that did was that allowed us to build those homes at the cost it's going to cost that we're going to incur to build the homes. Any subsidy that would come in the rental rates comes from the employers. So I see this as Timber Ridge is probably one of the most public and private partnerships the town of Vail has done. It really kind of embodies what the understanding the importance of housing in the Vail community has become. In addition, we have our West Middle Creek development. That is about a 5-acre development site located near the new residences at Mainvale in Middle Creek Village, very centrally located, both Vail Village and Lions Head. But that's a development site. We're in the process right now of selecting a development partner to partner on that development project with, and hopefully by coming out of the ground in 2026 with a 200+ home development on that site as well. We also have completed a first phase of a redevelopment of our public works facilities out at the town public works shops, but there's lots of land opportunity out there, and we're exploring the opportunity of a second phase of that master plan implementation, which would bring about 140 to 150 rental apartments on that site as well. So lots going on in the community, but would almost be remiss in sharing that a lot of this is because of the private sector's participation and involvement and willingness to help us address this housing challenge within the Vail community. So in response, internally we're working on a whole series of initiatives that would very similar to what we did with the Lions Head redevelopment, when we created some economic incentives for the private sector to participate in that redevelopment effort. We're looking at making some significant revisions to our land use regulations, codes, and administrative policies to attract that private sector investment. Because to Tracy's point, no one sector, public or private, is going to do this alone. It's going to take a partnership, and the greater, at least in my small view of the world here, the better job we can do in creating an environment for the private sector to be successful, the greater opportunity we'll have to partner with the private sector to solve this housing challenge with us.
Yeah. No, it's great, George, and we really do need everybody rowing the boat in the proverbial same direction, right? Mm-hmm. So those incentives and the process improvements from local government help incentivize and make it more attractive for the private sector to invest in these things. We're going to close up here, please.
I want to do an infomercial on another project that I just didn't want to loop them together back to back. But yes, I want to say good job to George. What you're doing in Vail is just incredible. It's so fun for us to see the example you're setting. So thank you for that. And for us, I have not forgotten, but it's coming soon. We are, as the Eagle County Housing and Development Authority, was able to partner with a developer in the Hay Meadow project. We are bulk purchasing 43 2-bedroom, 2-bath units and negotiated a price, and then we're putting in a subsidy. And that reduced price unit, I can't say the prices now because we're still working out the final details, but those 43 units will be coming on the market in April of 2024. That's not very far away. So we are building up our buyer list now for those units. You can go to Housing Eagle County and look under housingeaglecounty.com and look under developments, and you'll see the sign up for the Hay Meadow units. And that's a big deal for us.
It's a big deal
in
for
purchasing those units, deed restricting them, reselling them. And I'm really excited to have the community step forward and become, we're going to have 43 brand new homeowners. So
yeah, it's another great example of the public-private partnership and how government can work with the private sector and the development community to bring more owner-occupied local housing to the marketplace. So I'm going to close it up with one last question for each of you. And I want to hear something that we haven't talked about that you guys are excited about. Maybe it's a piece of state legislation or anything else. So keep it tight. You don't need to explain the whole program, but something you're excited about. George, we'll start with you. Give us an example of something you're excited about.
But that wasn't on the list of questions.
It wasn't.
I know you're surprising us.
I know you can think on your feet, my friend.
You think so? You think so?
We're going to find out.
I think what I'm excited about is, we recently, the town of Vail partnering with, I say partnering, even though we're purchasing 3 excess parcels of right-of-way in land from the Colorado Department of Transportation. This is land that they have identified and no longer need for transportation purposes. Again, in a community like Vail where we're landlocked, we may as well be an island out in the ocean. We don't have the ability to grow or expand our municipal boundaries. Working with a state agency and a partner like the Colorado Department of Transportation to acquire these properties to bring additional housing opportunities into the town of Vail is exciting, and it gives me hope that there's a future for all of this, that if we put our minds to it and we pool our resources, we can accomplish a lot of great things.
Great. A good example. Tracy, how about you? Something you're excited about that we haven't talked about?
Without naming any specific projects, the one thing I'm really excited about is just the creativity in terms of resources being brought to bear on solving this problem, or at least making an impact. So whether it's private developers, Eagle County, Town of Vail, Town of Avon, other local entities, the programs and the work that is being done is going to have an impact. It's going to have an impact relatively quickly, not quickly enough for any of us, but these are problems, these are solutions that have been put in place, the bold initiatives, like we're talking about within the last 3 years, and there are things that are already happening, dollars being spent, a change being made today. And I think just the sense of urgency and, like I said, the creativity, the partnerships, across municipalities, across levels of government, and involving the private sector, I think that's the thing that really excites me. It's a really exciting time to be involved in working on this issue.
Yes, agreed.
And Kim, how about you? An example we haven't talked about yet, something you're excited about.
I can't narrow it down, so I'm going to give you 2. The first example is Eagle County owns about 10 acres of land in West Eagle, and we have started both the annexation and the entitlement process with the town of Eagle. So that's active happening. We're looking at 113 units there that we're hoping to have all for sale, deed restricted inventory. And the second thing is, as a housing team, we've really put a focus on looking at our services through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one thing I am so proud of in this last year is that we did 3 real estate transactions completely in Spanish from start to finish this year. And I'm so proud of that work because I think that that is what we need to be looking at as a community, is how do we serve everybody. And so I'm super proud of my team at the Valley Home Store, and thank you for having us, Romer.
Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure. It's our pleasure. I'm going to take a little bit of executive privilege and share 2 examples that I'm excited about moving forward. One is Proposition 123, statewide funding that local towns and communities will need to apply for, that has some thresholds and build up. So that's one that I think is exciting. And Senate Bill 1 that will allow us essentially the state land board parcel in Eaglevale with the town of Vail, the town of Avon, Eagle County, and many other partners working to develop a significant housing project there that will have ownership and rental and everything else. So I'm excited about both of those state initiatives. We've talked a lot today about housing. Thanks to Tracy, Kim, and George. You've been watching Mountain Perspectives on TV8.
Shop Harvest, your local marketplace for fresh, locally produced products. Our indoor farmers market is open 7 days a week, featuring locally grown organic produce, prepared meals, honey from our nap nectar hive, furniture, cutting boards, and much more. We source and sell locally grown and produced products from the Vail and Roaring Fork Valleys. Visit us at our new location in Eagle Ranch, 717 Sylvan Lake Road, next door to Color Coffee Roasters.
Familia, estamos muy emocionados de por fin presentarles nuestro nuevo programa completamente en español, Conexión Latina, que se estrena este lunes 21 de agosto a partir de las 7 de la tarde. Por el momento, el programa se transmitirá los lunes, miércoles y viernes de 7 a 7 y media de la tarde, con una repetición de 7 y media a 8, así que no hay excusas para perdértelo. Te recuerdo que puedes sintonizar nuestra programación a través del canal 92 de Comcast, nuestra página web tv8vail.com y nuestra página de Facebook TV8 Conexión Latina. Acompáñanos en esta nueva aventura llena de información y entretenimiento local. No te lo pierdas.
Pascal. And I'm Andrea Jackson. Welcome to Life, Love, Shopping. Have any personal stories you can share?
Do I? Yes, I do.
So even though you work for some good deals, too good to miss on flash deals. Now check this out.
Studies show spending time outdoors can help with depression, lowering blood pressure, and overall health and happiness.
Good morning, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. I hope you've enjoyed the Mountain Perspectives episode that we've shared with you so far this morning on housing. My thanks to Chris Romer, Kim Bell-Williams, George Ruther, and Tracy Walters for joining us for that episode. So enlightening. Now we're going to turn our attention to Avija Scarborough and the latest Vail Vibes episode. And she has been to a number of new places that we're excited to share with you. So let's take a look.
Come on.
From blue skies to mountain highs, this is your guide to all the good vibes here in Vail and beyond. I'm Avija Scarborough. Welcome to Vail Vibes. Tonight we're coming to you from the Four Eagle Ranch in Wolcott. And an evening like this, I would say, is perfect for a picnic. And as the saying goes, a picnic with friends is like fresh air for the soul. And tonight, we're in for a real treat. I had the pleasure of enjoying a peaceful mountain picnic with good company and good food. All the good stuff I could ask for. And speaking of all the good stuff, Samantha Miller is the owner.
So All the Good Stuff is a farmer's market store and a delivery service located in Edwards. And we source everything from local Colorado producers, vendors, farmers. So when you come into the store, we're your one-stop shop for everything local. And we have everything that you need for a perfect picnic.
This is truly perfect. I can't wait to learn more about each item. Everything here is very unique. It's not stuff that you can find at the grocery store, really.
That is true. So I'll tell you about some of my favorite products that we have here today.
Okay.
First of all, these are floral crackers by Flower Co. All edible flowers. They do such a beautiful job on all of their products. They also make this floral finishing salt. Goes great on a margarita. It also goes great on watermelon. This watermelon, it's called Yellow Doll. It's one of the varieties that our farmers at Austin Family Farms in Paonia, they grow it. And this watermelon is small in size, but bursting in flavor. Over here, we have Mountain Girl Pickles. She's out of Netherlands. Her pickles are amazing, but this corn relish is out of this world. Next, we have Tremol and Tremol Verde. These are by Green Valley Foods, and these are both delicious. So this one has a little bit of spice. This one is very mild, and what's so unique about this one is instead of cilantro, they actually use fresh mint. So if you're somebody who doesn't care for cilantro, this salsa is super delicious and refreshing. You know, on a summer day, this stuff is what you need. Next up, we have Honey Bunchies bars, and if you've never had these, they are so yummy. I compare them to a Snickers bar, but without the chocolate. So they are all honey, some nuts, so you get a nice crunch, and they're ooey gooey delicious. Here we have lavender honey. What is unique about this lavender honey is it's made from bees pollinating lavender plants, and then they infuse a lavender essential oil into the honey. And they go around to each town and collect pollen from each town and infuse it into the honey. So if you're like me and suffer from seasonal allergies, their honey is so helpful for building your immune system to those local pollen. So next I'm going to talk about some of our favorite jams that we have in the store. This right here is a blackberry serrano. We've got 6 different flavors of Yummy Lotus jam. They are all so delicious. This one is one of my personal favorites, but we've got lots of samples in the store, so come by and try some. Next up, we have La Finca jam. She's out of Steamboat. She's one of our newest vendors in the store, and her jams are delicious. We have Full Stop Bakery sourdough crackers. We have these in 6 different flavors in the store. This one is the OG Parmesan and herb. This is what they look like. And they look like a pita chip, but they're actually really nice, crunchy, and airy on the inside. Two Hot Cowgirls, they make delicious caramel corn. We have this in a few different flavors. This is what it looks like, and it is just bursting with flavor. We've got a few different varieties in the store. This one's my personal favorite. It's a caramel cocoa, and it is delicious. All right, so next up we have the Good Crisp Company. They are out of Boulder, Colorado. They make the best chips. So very similar to Pringles, but better ingredients, locally made, and better for you. Next up, we have On Tap Kitchen Pretzels. We've got the honey mustard. They're really crunchy, perfect snack. We've got the Bamba Jungle Crunch Dark Chocolate. This one is with plantains. It's nice and crunchy, a little bit salty and sweet. Super delicious. Definitely recommend trying the Bamba, and they are a local company out of Denver, and everything they do is super ethical and sustainable, which is why we love working with them. Moo Cow Color Rouge cheese. I have no idea if I'm saying that right, but it doesn't matter because it is delicious and the cheese speaks for itself.
And lastly, Samantha is making us some delicious cocktails using the Flour Co. finishing salt on the rim.
We're going to add a little Prosecco, because you can't have a picnic without bubbles. And then we've got these gorgeous sugar cubes by the Boozy Botanist. She's out of Denver, and they will turn your drink this gorgeous color, and they give it kind of like a fun, glittery, shimmery effect.
We decided to have our cocktails in the sun to see the full effect of the glittery, shimmery sugar, and she topped them off with some Backyard Bevco cocktail syrup. She says she started her business because she loves farmers markets. In fact, you can see her working at one almost every weekend. She saw an opportunity to bring fresh farmers market produce directly to customers who don't always have the time to browse the markets on weekends. Since it started in 2017, All the Good Stuff has evolved into a direct-to-consumer website, delivery service, and brick-and-mortar shop in Edwards. They also offer a summer and fall community-supported agriculture program where members receive a weekly curated box. She says they're passionate about supporting local businesses because it's all about sustainability, transparency, and peace of mind that comes from knowing where and how our food is grown. And she says the food just tastes amazing. So if you ever find yourself in the mood for dining al fresco or just want some delicious local goodies, well, you know where to go. Hi friends, welcome to Vail Vibes. I'm Avisha Scarborough, and today we are at Oktoberfest in Beaver Creek. I just got this amazing stein and I need to go fill it up. So, as the Germans say, Prost to that. Oktoberfest, a yearly Bavarian tradition celebrated all over the world, with dozens of big events in Colorado. Beer, food, entertainment, and of course traditional German outfits are the main staples of the festival. But what exactly is Oktoberfest and why did it originate? My journalistic curiosity was piqued, so I thought I would investigate by asking the people at the festival.
I think it's supposed to signify, the harvest.
Why did it start? I would say they're celebrating something in November.
I have no idea what they celebrate. I think they were celebrating just having beer and a good time.
So, like...
Good guesses, but not quite. In all fairness, I didn't know the answer either.
It was supposed to be a wedding ceremony that lasted 3 weeks, and it was for King Ludwig of Austria.
That would be correct. According to Wikipedia, the festival originated on October 12, 1810, in celebration of the marriage of the Crown Prince of Bavaria, King Ludwig, to Princess Therese. That must have been some wedding. Centuries later, Oktoberfest is still being celebrated by millions of people around the world. And it's very much embraced by Americans.
German food is awesome. Pretzels, sausages, that's why we love Oktoberfest.
Americans are really good at appreciating the culture of other countries, and this is us just appreciating some of where our heritage came from, because I think a lot of Americans came from Europe, and this is us appreciating
the beer and being together.
With festival season in full swing, we hope you get a chance to join the celebration. Coming up next, we make some new friends at the Vail Stables and
I can't buy myself flowers.
We shake things up with the owner of Shakedown Bar. Hello everyone, welcome to Vail Vibes. This is your guide to all the good vibes here in Vail and beyond. I'm Avisha Scarborough, and today we've got a lot to feel good about because we've got some cuddly creatures to play with here at the Vail Stables. Baby goats tend to bring out smiles from everyone around them, and Vail Stables understands that. Their goat yoga, or goga, classes draw people from all over the country.
From Salt Lake City, Utah. Absolutely loved it. Just so fun, getting centered out with nature. And then, of course, the goats just continuously reminding you whether you want it or not with their little sounds and coming up for pets. Just so peaceful and lovely.
We're from Kansas City.
And what made you want to try goat yoga?
Guess we always wanted to do it.
I love baby goats and I love yoga.
Yeah,
so
she loves anything baby.
Holly Beavers has been teaching goat yoga for 7 years.
Goats are just silly, loving, amazing creatures. I feel like they bring out joy and they also bring out peace and calm, and that's something that is really related to my nature and what I believe yoga is.
She says more people should try it, no matter what their experience level is.
It is for you, whether you've done yoga before, whether you've ever been around goats before. It is for each and every person.
So fun.
It's something that brings tranquility and fun and laughter and giggles and all the things that I think the world really needs more of.
And if you want the goats without the yoga, there's Goat Happy Hour too.
It's really a time for families, friends, bachelorette parties, anyone to come up here and enjoy a beautiful view of Vail Mountain with 20 baby goats. They add a little bit of craziness to the mix. But we also have Colorado beers, cocktails, wines. You can really enjoy whatever you'd like, kind of build your own adventure. And we sell goat treats and horse treats as well. So it's kind of just outdoor happy hour time. Have some drinks if you want, but you're kind of here for the goats.
Olivia was raised at these stables, owned by her mother.
It was a wonderful childhood. Lots of lessons. You learn what hard work is pretty quickly when you have 50 horses, 20 goats.
She says the Nigerian dwarf goats are so adorable they give everyone a mood boost.
They are smaller breeds of goats, making them a little easier to get used to. But they're super fun, goofy animals. They're headbutting each other, jumping around, they're flipping around. They can also be super cuddly. So some of the little guys will sit on your lap and you can pet them and scratch them and they feel like a little cat in your lap. But then they'll be running around crazy, you know, going after the treats. Very cute. They're pretty adorable. We have little bandanas on all of them. Some have little bow ties, so.
Let's face it, goats are the greatest of all time. And we could all use a little love, light, and laughter in our lives. Check out vailstables.com for more info. Coming up next, we jam out to some Miley Cyrus music with the owner of Shakedown Bar.
Well, you can love me better. I can love you better, baby. Good morning, Vail.
For fun and adventure, join me on Elizabeth Stanton's Great Big World. Find out where I'll be going next and which celebrities I'll be bringing along with me. I'll show you amazing destinations with lots to explore, and you'll get to know my celebrity guests the way they really are, up close and personal. We'll travel the world, experience new cultures, and together, try to make a difference. I'm Elizabeth Stanton, saying the world's a big place, and I'm going to show it to you.
Lions Head Jewelers Fossil and Mineral Gallery. Located in the heart of Lions Head Village for over a decade, our 4,000 square foot gallery boasts a one-of-a-kind experience that cannot be found anywhere else in Vail. We carry the most exquisite array of fine jewelry, high-end minerals, and museum-quality fossils. We invite you to come in and explore all the history and beauty that nature has to offer.
Hi there! Are you ready to explore famous neighborhoods from New York City to Kentucky? Watch The Neighborhood with host Nicole Newman. Featuring famous people, unique history, and delicious places to eat and drink. Our viewers get an inside personal look at each neighborhood. With each episode we learn, grow, laugh, and live like a local, not just a visitor. Welcome to The Neighborhood. Check your local program schedule and tune in.
Hi, I'm Ben Belgrad, and I'm the owner of Drinking Vessels here at Bat Country Studios in Minturn. And I've been in the Valley for 7 years. I moved to the Valley because a friend helped me to get my vision off the ground, building my glass studio here, and being so close to snowboarding. So here at the studio, we're acting as a broker for 50 to 100 artists from around the country. We also offer glassblowing classes, and we bring many artists from around the country here to be able to work and create art collaboratively and be so close to skiing and all the activities we have here in the Valley. Here at Drinking Vessels, we specialize in handmade glass drinkware from artists around the country and around the world. Some of these are produced as more of an item you could get in sets and kind of get different color options as time goes on. And some of these are completely one-of-a-kind and really high-end art that's unlike anything people have seen before. While I'm an artist myself here at the studio, I'm representing between 50 and 100 other artists from around the country. And most of these artists are able to spend most of their time working on their art while we help handle their marketing and their sales and the distribution and representation, allowing them more time to focus on their art. That's really my privilege in running this business, is creating that support and providing that platform for this big group of artists that are part of a movement that's very important to me.
Are you looking for exciting and nutritious recipes to cook at home? Watch Colorful Cooking with Tracy Miller on TV8 Vail. Tracy brings you the best in fresh and healthy foods for the active outdoor lifestyle. Stream online at tv8vail.com or find us on Comcast Xfinity Channel 92. There's more for you on 92.
Good morning, Vail.
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. I'm Danielle Turner, the Vice President and General Manager here at TV8. It's been such a pleasure to spend this morning with you and share some of our newest initiatives at TV8. and we are in the midst of a brand new Vail Vibes episode right now. So let's get right back into it.
Come on!
We play from the heart. We play these songs. We live these songs.
Scott Redner is known as the man behind Shakedown Bar, a venue he says was created by musicians for musicians.
We are different. We treat our music differently. We take our music seriously.
While playing musical gigs around town, Scott had what seemed like at the time a very lucky encounter.
A gentleman saw me playing, and he gave me $1 million and bought the space, the lease on the space for me.
Wait, back up. What do you mean he gave you?
Well, he saw me playing at the Red Line one night, and he walked up and he tipped me $1,000, and he said, "You rock, dude. You need your own place." And I was like, "Well, I like the sound of that, you know." So I leaned over to my security guy. I said, "Hey, this guy, he said he's gonna buy me a bar. You come run it." And it was my buddy Bryce, who was the security guy at Red Line, and he's like, "Okay."
So in 2012, Shakedown Bar was established. But like many things in life that seem too good to be true, so too was this. For a variety of reasons, Scott had to buy out his original investor. Since then, Shakedown Bar has thrived as a 198-person music venue with exceptional performers, including the Shakedown Family Band. Scott himself has toured the world with bands like Blues Traveler, Dave Matthews, and Lenny Kravitz. But this father of 2 girls says his daughters have inspired him to embrace the current pop stars.
It is just T Swift, and it's like I want to be able to just. I asked my daughter, I'm like, you know, because I took them to the Taylor Swift concert this year, and I'm like, "Which song, Harper?" And she goes, "Cruel Summer Day."
Here he is performing his own rendition of Flowers by Miley Cyrus, another one of his daughter's favorites. Scott says if you love music, Shakedown Bar is the place for après-ski this winter.
What's better than songs you love to sing while you're after ski celebrating, getting a little toasty, right? But, you know, it's about that. It's about interacting. It's about sharing that time. It's about singing along. It's about sharing the experience together, the feel-good stuff, the stuff you know.
And he was so impressed with my tambourine skills that you might even see yours truly on stage soon.
So am I hired to come perform with you? Can I do it?
Done.
Okay.
700.
Or maybe I'll just stick to Vail Vibes. To see the real musicians, check out shakedownbarvail.com for the calendar of events.
Come on!
You don't need to go far to experience hot springs from around the world. There are 10 new pebble bottom experience pools at Iron Mountain Hot Springs, featuring mineral formulas made to replicate hot springs from global destinations. The new area is called World Springs, and it's for ages 21 and over. Each country's pool has unique healing properties, such as this pool inspired by the waters of Bali. According to their website, sulfate and magnesium make up 74% of the minerals found in the Banjar hot springs in Bali, and it's said to benefit skin and sleep health and reduce inflammation. The general manager, Aaron McAllister, tells us about some of his most popular formulas.
With our Blue Lagoon formula, we have silica in there, as well as sodium, calcium, magnesium, at different levels, right? So you go to Vichy, France, and in that recipe there will be different amounts of calcium, magnesium in there, which will provide different kind of benefits for each person getting into there. So with the World Springs location on our property, you can be in, Bath, England, and then move quickly over to South Korea. And again, we've got 30 different recipes that we'll start to cycle in. Well, that's what's exciting, is you can really experience the difference. Literally, you'll know when you get in, you can touch and feel that mineral water. It'll help with muscle, it'll soreness, fatigue, inflammation. So they'll be different depending on which one you get into.
And another therapy they offer is the 55-degree cold plunge.
It's cold. There's chicken skins, definitely goosebumps. Ice challenge all over again.
So what makes you want to get into ice cold water?
That man's birthday. We said, what do you want to do for your birthday? And he said, cold plunges.
You can go in and you fill it and then you come back out and it's like, ah.
Despite the benefits, I wasn't quite brave enough to get all the way in. I did, however, enjoy this 108-degree garnet pool right on the Colorado River in what is the legacy section of the hot springs, where children over 5 are welcome.
So on our legacy side, the 16 original mineral pools are all named after gems. It's true geothermal. We don't heat that water. It comes up from the ground, flows into the pool, turns over every 2 hours, meaning that pool cycles every 2 hours with new water. And then that mineral water actually we discharge into the river.
And Iron Mountain Hot Springs is open all year round, even in the snow.
What's really neat is that as the water in the mineral pools leaves, we capture it before it goes to the river. We pump it back up and then we actually heat the sidewalks with that mineral water. So during a snowstorm, sidewalks are not warm to the touch, but they're not icy.
So come and experience hot springs from around the world, all in one location. Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park. It's America's only mountaintop theme park. In fact, it's so high up that you need to take a gondola to get there.
My name's Arthur Wheeler. I'm the attractions manager here at Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park. A very unique place, right? We've got all of our natural attractions with our caves, and then we have 12 phenomenal other rides and attractions that we have here. Our latest addition is Defiance, which is our brand new 110-foot tall roller coaster, right? And fun fact, it actually has the steepest free fall drop west of the Mississippi. So my favorite ride here is Giant Canyon Swing. Every single time I ride it, right, my brain just never seems to get it, right? It's just, we're gonna get this full send off the cliff edge, and it's just this ultimately thrilling experience, right? It's rated among the top 3 scariest rides on Earth.
I wasn't quite ready to be sent off a cliff on a giant swing, but I did try the Alpine coaster. It's unlike any roller coaster I've ever been on. It's similar to an Alpine slide, but you have full control over your own speed. And if you're like me, you like to take things slow and take in the views. There's not a lot of fantasy or make-believe at this adventure park. The views are all Mother Nature, including these caves, which Arthur says have a lot of history.
In the late 1800s, the Darrow family began showing tours in our historic fairy cave that we have here, right? It's actually one of the first caves in the United States to have electric lights. And over time, that cave went from the Darrow family to the Preble family. This is where our current owner, Steve Beckley, comes into play. When Steve Beckley was in college, he began writing to Peter Preble, who was the owner of the mountain at the time, and trying to convince him, like he had found the caves and he wanted to, open these caves back up to the public and really kind of create this awesome experience. And it took over 10 years of writing Peter Preble before they were able to come to an agreement.
That persistence paid off, and now the public can enjoy the adventure park all year round.
During the winter season, we have Winter on the Mountain, where we have close to 1 million lights that we put on all of our various trees, right? So it's just well lit up and everything is just this magical kind of sparkle that you're going to get in the winter.
Sounds like the perfect day off from skiing. For TV8 in Vail, I'm Avija Scarborough.
Good morning, Vail.
Suki and Scott show. We are feeling good today. Great show on the way.
Absolutely. Welcome to our show. I'm Suki.
I'm Scott.
And we are feeling good today. You know why? Because we had a great show.
At Revival Boutique Med Spa, we take an integrative and holistic approach to skincare, focusing on the bigger picture when treating our clients. We use only result-driven and science-based products that contain clean, organic, wildcrafted, and research-based ingredients. From injectables, facials, to body contouring, we offer anything related to looking your best self. Find us in the Riverwalk in Edwards. For a complete list of services, visit us online at revivalvail.com Follow us on Instagram at Revival Vail Valley. Fall in love with your skin again. There's lots to love at Revival. Mind, body, beauty.
Do you love the outdoor lifestyle? Make sure you tune in every day at 8 p.m. to catch Scoreboard Nation. It's an outdoor lifestyle show dedicated to your 3 favorite mountain towns, Vail Beaver Creek, Park City, and Reno Tahoe. Join us for an incredible venture. Find us on TV8 Vail, Park City Television, or at thescoreboardnation.com. We can't wait to see you there.
Good morning, Vail.
What a fun morning we've had here on Good Morning Vail. It's been a pleasure for me to show you our new hobby segment, the latest edition of Mountain Perspectives, with that very interesting conversation on housing here in the Vail Valley. And of course, what a great time we had tagging along on Avisha Scarborough's adventures on Vail Vibes. I want to thank you so much for joining me. And
Good morning, Vail. See what lies in store for you. There's so many things to see and do. Summer, winter, spring, or fall. Your home in the Rockies has it all. So get up, get ready to start your day. The coffee's brewing, you're on your way. The fun is waiting outside your door. Good morning, Vail.
When you're in Vail, you're in vacation mode, and you need a flexible home tour experience that